Well, hi again, and welcome to episode 5 of the Pixar Post Podcast. I'm TJ.
And I'm Julie.
And we've got quite a bit of news to get to, so let's get right to it. What we're going to be talking about this time is we're going to be just reminding about our Evil Dr. Porkchop t-shirt contest. We're going to be talking about some Blue Umbrella news, Brave winning a whole bunch more awards, or 2 more awards, the re-release of Monsters Incorporated on Blu-ray, and we're going to start off the podcast with some Monsters University news. And the first thing that we want to do is just play a short clip of the school song that was included in the mini trailer that was released for the called A Message from the Dean.
Your future is knocking. Open the door. Monsters University.
All right, so there you go. That was the song that was at the very end, and they show a whole bunch of the
monsters, and I believe it's the jocks.
Yeah, who are standing over off to the side. Or is it Roar Omega Roar? I think that's who it is.
Yes, it is.
It's Roar Omega Roar.
You're right.
And they show them singing, and Randall kind of has an irritated look in his eyes as he's singing along, and we're not sure why.
Yes.
But it's pretty cool to hear that song there.
I mean, for anyone who's been to like a big college football game, I mean, it gave me chills. I mean, that's what it's like.
Yeah.
I was so realistic, and as soon as I heard that clip, I was like, genius. Because if you hear the lyrics, it talks about nightmares, and I just love it.
Yeah,
I can't wait to hear more of it.
I'd like to see how they recorded that too, because it'd be kind of cool to see, if they created that big sound, or did they really have a big cast of people that they brought in to record that? Did they really record it in a stadium somehow? I doubt they did, because it would have been revealed as to what they were singing. But it's interesting to think how they got that.
It's just layers,
right?
Like voice layering.
Yeah, who knows? Somebody, probably Gary Rydstrom or somebody over at Skywalker is quite good enough that they can, I'm sure, figure it out.
Right.
So the second bit of Monsters University news that was released today is a set of high-resolution character artwork and ID cards that were revealed. And we had seen some of the artwork previously. They were released a little too early, and Pixar, kind of made the rounds asking if people could take them down because they weren't supposed to have been released as early. So it's nice to see those come back as high-resolution artwork now that everybody can see and share. Kind of going hand in hand with those character artworks is, if you also go back to the official monstersuniversity.com website, they also now have updated for those character artworks and ID cards that they've released. They've updated the character profiles, or the student profiles on the site. And there's some pretty funny things that are in those bios for the... Yeah,
it's a few paragraphs for about 5 of the characters, so it gives some insight on these new characters.
Yeah, and it talks about their bios. Like, so for instance, we wanted to read one of them, and it's a little it's not lengthy, but it's longer, and it's hilarious. I mean, I've mentioned before that I know I'm already going to love Art.
Me too.
Yeah, it's already been talked about. Dan Scanlon mentioned that, he's a director, that it's going to be a loved character and so on. But so Art says he's...
And Art, for everyone who doesn't know his name, is the purple, furry, rainbow arch guy.
Right.
With short legs and he's just shaped like a furry rainbow.
Yep. Yeah, so what it says is Art is an open-minded free spirit. Art believes life experiences are as important, if not more important, than classroom experience. And here's where it's quoted: "I don't actually go to classes very often because I consider myself a student of the world, and also because I haven't paid tuition in 7 months. See, I live in a bartering system that the school has been, let's say, hesitant to comply with." And then it goes on, Art is devoted to his fraternity Uzma Kappa and excited to develop a strong bond with his Monsters University classmates. He says, "I love making new friends, but you don't really know someone until you've cried with them, preferably from a deep, emotional, shared catharsis, or perhaps some kind of cage match." So it goes on, though. It says, when asked where he sees himself in 5 years, Art answers, "Smiling and inspired. I see myself in a sun-covered field, just wailing on some drums, and then I do this crazy solo on a guitar covered in flames. The guitar is covered in flames, not me, although that would be cool too." And when asked where he was before Monsters University, he simply replied, "Okay, legally they told me I did not have to answer that." So pretty awesome. And one other little bit. Oh, and yeah, just be sure to check out the other character bios because they are funny and they go through a lot of that. You get a lot of the characters' personality in there. And then one of the other things that we noticed, it's been out there for a little while, but we want to highlight some of these as well, is on the lunch menu, there's in the student housing / dining section of the Monsters University page, there's some pretty interesting dining options or restaurants. Yeah, the website goes over everything.
Anything. I mean, it's a real university.
Right.
So instead of Sbarro or Taco Bell...
Yeah, it's an interesting set of restaurants and other dining options that they give you. For instance, one is called Blended Edibles, and it's described as whatever foods can be liquefied can be found at Blended Edibles, the food cart dining option for students who prefer eating meals through a straw. So it's full of that kind of humor throughout the whole website. So if you haven't checked it out and really dug through it, it's worth a laugh.
And it's very detailed too. It's hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there's so many people. The comments on Twitter just go back and forth constantly with people saying that they want to really go there. They would love to enroll. It's better than my university's website, so on and so on. So, well, the other thing that happened is we want to play a set of short audio clips now that were actually taken recorded by the website Inside the Magic. So thank you to them for these clips. And they're from the Monsters University toy release at the Toy Fair that happened, about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago? Mm-hmm. And be aware that as we play these, there's going to be some camera shutter clicks that you're hearing in the background too. That's just, part of the recording because it's in the crowd and people are taking pictures next to them. Yeah, it was
a press event.
Right. So the first clip is John Goodman, the voice of Sully again, was asked about getting back into the world of Pixar and how did it feel? So let's take a listen to what he says to that question.
They took us up to the campus at Pixar for one of the first recording sessions, and everybody up there is so cool. They're way cooler than I am. I didn't fit in, which is just like college. And then where we record at Disney is such a familiar place. They got a great recording engineer named Doc, and he makes you feel at home. And it was great to be back. And then we're working with Billy again. When every once in a while we get to work together, and the energy in the room really takes off like a Saturn rocket, and it's so much fun, and it's like a family.
Yeah, and in addition, it should be noted that Billy Crystal was supposed to be at the event, but unfortunately, because of the weather and everything that was going on in New York at the time, he wasn't able to make it. And I would have loved to have heard some of their banter back and forth and talking about ad-libbing. And there was one other part where John Goodman was asked, did any of his ad-libbed lines make it into the final cut? And he said, I really don't remember, but if anybody did, it's going to be Billy Crystal because he's the ad-lib master, and he's 10 times funnier than. That's what John Goodman said.
That's what he's,
Yeah. So, anyways, in the next clip, John is talking about how difficult voice acting is for cartoons. So let's take a listen to what he says about that.
And you are no stranger to doing animated voices. So you did Emperor's New Groove, you did Jungle Book 2, obviously Monsters, Inc. I'm curious, when you're doing a voice for an animated character, how does that differ than you being on screen and being fabulous like an Argo?
I know this is going to sound like I'm whining, but it's so hard. It is. You just think you'd show up and talk into a microphone, but because the camera doesn't see you suggest the character or anything like that, you have to throw everything in your body into what your voice is doing. And after quite a few times, it's exhausting. I mean, I walk out of the studio sometimes feeling like I've just been to the gym 12 times. It's exhausting. It really gets to it. And it's very rewarding, too, to see it.
Yeah, so, I mean, we've talked many times that we want to be in one of those recording booths.
Oh,
how amazing and fun would that be?
It would be so fun, but when you think about it, if your voice is basically that character and there's no camera on you like a real live action film, that would be so hard.
Yeah.
To project everything, just like he said, where it felt like he was at the gym for, 12 times in a row. I mean, acting, but just for a microphone to get, the
Right.
emotion and everything. I mean, just sit at home, watch a clip of Monsters, Inc. and try to recreate it sitting on your couch and see if you can have that emotion. I think it would be hard.
Yeah, you really have to, not only do you, that's why they obviously hire actors, because
Right.
they already know how to get themselves into that mode, and a lot of times animators that even work there. But you got to get yourself in that mode. You got to be willing to, like, push yourself,
Yeah.
which I would say the average person probably
I don't think you can be shy. I think you just have to let go.
Yeah, and one of the other things that was actually stated in that interview, too, is they said that they knew they were hitting their lines between Billy Crystal and John Goodman when they would see the people in the recording booth behind the glass just slamming their hands on the desks and rolling around and dying in laughter. So they said they knew they were on the right track at that point. So in the next interview, it's actually with Dan Scanlon and Corey Ray, who's the producer. Dan Scanlon's the director. Corey Ray is the producer of Monsters University. You don't really hear from Corey in these clips, but she was sitting next to Dan on the couch. But in this first question that's asked of Dan, they talk about, well, it's not really a question, it's more of a statement as far as how did they prep for the college world to become monsterfied.
Right, exactly. We, most of us went to college, but most of us went to art college, which isn't really real college. we did a bunch of research. We went to colleges all over the country and really tried to soak up what read as university and get that kind of vibe. And so we started designing the school based on this research. But like the first film, we always monsterize the world, and what that basically means is making things big enough to support the weight of an 800-pound monster and flying monsters. So we took those buildings and we bulked them up and made them big. And we also like to, in the monsterizing process, you can see in some of the photos, adding horns here and there, adding those little details that make it feel monstery. Sometimes even faces in the buildings. And some of those old college buildings already feel like they have faces in them, so you have to kind of really pull that out of the architecture. But again, you'll see some examples. So it was just such a great experience to do that research and make that world feel more original to our world.
Yeah, and what's funny about that actually is that I remember reading on a website, and I tried to dig it up so that way I could reference it for the podcast, but I remember reading on a website probably about a year and a half ago, where where Monsters University was first rumored. And a student commented and said, you know what, Pixar was on our campus the other day doing a tour. And they said they never knew why, but they said they were just there doing general research for, environments. Mm-hmm. But I tried to dig it up again because I was like, oh man, could you imagine if you were at that campus and all of a sudden there's all these Pixar people, running around?
I wish you would have remembered which campus that was. That would have been neat.
Yeah, I mean, I really tried to dig it up, but it was so long ago, and there's so many Monsters University news articles now that it's
buried.
Trying to find it in Google, even using advanced search with the timeline and everything, it was gone.
Right.
So and then it was in a comment as well on another site. Yeah. So, but the final clip that we have of Dan Scanlon as well is where he talks about something that you're really going to want to pay attention to. Just listen to this real quick.
So obviously we'll be seeing Mike and Sully again, but we'll also be seeing from the first film Randall Boggs, who was their kind of nemesis. He was their competitor, and so we'll be seeing how they met 18-year-old Randall as well. And we'll also have a few great cameos from the first film. We'll see some people who are students and even some old characters who weren't students. But just keep watching the background.
That's right.
Always watch.
Clearly, we know what that means. At some point during the movie in the background, Roz will appear. So it's pretty neat that some of those characters from the first Monsters Incorporated movie are going to be, scattered throughout it, whether they be hidden in the background or, there could be weird instances where, there's like a college recruiting day and Water Noose is there or something like that while they're trying to get people to go to Monsters Incorporated.
Right.
So it could be kind of cool. Next topic that we want to talk about, kind of springboarding off of Monsters University, is going back to Monsters Incorporated with the re-release of Monsters Incorporated on Blu-ray. And obviously the note here is that Partysaurus Rex is included on this release. And this prompted us to unleash our custom Partysaurus Rex around town again. And we had a blast. Of course, again, taking pictures of him shopping for prices for the DVD online. And then we drove him to the store.
Yeah, we took him to Target, did a couple Vine videos, which is Twitter's video application. It really brought back memories of taking Rex around during the summertime, except now it was 10 degrees and snowing, so it was quite a difference outside taking him around, but still so fun.
Yeah, and it made us definitely run in and out of those stores with that weather, but it was fun. We did one with Rex holding the DVD coming down the conveyor belt at the register, so it was kind of neat. So you can check all those out on our website. Just head on there and you can see them. Yeah. All the show notes as well, by the way. If you just click on the podcast button at the top of the page, you can go to episode 5 and you'll see all the links for any of these posts if you want to check into them a little more.
Yeah.
So the next news bit that happened this week is Brave, again on a tear this week. Last week we mentioned that they had won several awards throughout, not just several awards, but several different award events that they won awards at.
Yeah, well, it is award season still.
Yep, and this week they won 2 more. And the first one they won was at the American Cinema Editors Awards, also known as the Eddie Awards, and they won for Best Animated Feature Film. And accepting on behalf was Nicholas C. Smith and Robert Graham Jones. And who else was in attendance there?
Director Mark Andrews and producer Catherine Serafian were both in attendance. Mark Andrews was actually there to present the Eddie Award for Best Edited Feature Film in a Comedy or Musical. So that was good. I think he's got a great voice, and I wish he was hosting the whole thing.
Well, that'd be cool to actually have him host an award session.
Yeah.
He's got the personality for it.
We said it on our last podcast, but I love his voice.
He would have the good personality for it.
He's very engaging.
We need to get him to do that.
Yeah, we vote for Mandrews. I believe that's what they call him.
There you go. And then the second awards that they were up for was at the annual Cinema Audio Society Awards. Boy, that's a mouthful there. The annual Cinema Audio Society Awards. And what did they win for in that one?
They won for Outstanding Achievement in Sound Mixing for an Animated Motion Picture.
Okay.
And the award was presented to Bobby Johansson, Tom Johnson, Gary Rydstrom, Andrew Dedman, and Frank Ranella.
There's a lot of them there.
Yes, and this awards event actually took place the same night as the Eddie Awards.
Yeah, so they had to split up who was going where.
Exactly.
Good thing there wasn't an award at the American Cinema Editors Award for sound there, or maybe there was. I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, there was not.
Yeah.
So, moving along from there, the next topic that we're going to talk about is a little bit of news on the Blue Umbrella short. And one of the things that we did to kind of kick off on Valentine's Day was to do another stop-motion Vine video of this is Julie's first foray into it. Last time I kind of ran the show there, and this time she decided that she was going to take her hand at the stop-motion, and it came out kind of neat, showing...
Yeah, stop motion's pretty hard. I think I'm going to have TJ do that if we do that again. I think I'm more of other variations of art and stuff, but stop motion is not my forte.
Well, it doesn't make it easy with the Vine app to do stop motion either. I mean, it's obviously you can do it, but there's no going back. There's no going back a frame. Once you record it, you record it. So if you accidentally tap the screen, for people that use Vine, you know it's in there. But,
oh, yes. And that took me... probably 2.5 hours to do. And it's a 6 minute. It's like not
6 seconds.
Yeah, 6-second clip.
Yeah, not even. Actually.
Yeah.
But regardless, the last time we did it, we premiered the blue umbrella, just the character blue from it, and this time we revealed that we also have the red umbrella.
Mm-hmm. Since it was Valentine's Day, I really wanted to show the meet cute between the two characters, which is what I did.
There you go. So the other thing is, after the premiere of the Blue Umbrella at the Berlin Film Festival, director Sascha Unseld also tweeted out the official dates and times that the Blue Umbrella will be showing at the South by Southwest Festival. And we mentioned it on the last post that if those dates were going to be announced, we would certainly notate them. And I had said incorrectly that typically the films are near the end of the festival, but he has actually spread them out here. And, well, not he did, but the event has spread them out. The first showing is going to be on Saturday, March 9th. At 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. It'll also be shown on Tuesday, March 11th at 4:15 Central Standard Time, and finally on Wednesday, March 13th at 9:30 p.m. And again, don't try to remember all those. Just go to our website, pixarpost.com, and click on the podcast tab, and you can see all those dates there. So it's going to be neat to see, the 3 different dates, and see what the response is. Yeah, on stateside. Right. We did actually go out and try to find a couple of readers and listeners that were at the Berlin Film Festival, and we're happy to say that we do actually have a reader that will be providing us a review of her experience viewing
from the Berlin Film Festival. So she was one of the first audiences other than Pixar.
Right.
To see this film. So
yeah, we're pretty excited. And she actually ran into him at the airport as well, so she's going to give us a little bit of
yeah, she said he was so nice, and I can't wait to hear what she has to say about it.
Yeah, and she was giving us teasers.
Yeah.
She was giving us a teaser. She sent us an email saying, I've got it all written up. What other guidelines do you have? And I just need to edit it tonight. And I'm like, wow, she's going to edit it here? Who is this that we don't know? Yeah, it's a professional writer we've got on our hands here. So yes, so thank you to her very much, and we will, of course, give her proper credit once the article is up and we do her guest post, and
it'll be on our website, as well as our next podcast will also
I'm sure we'll be reading parts from that. So, and then finally, wrapping up, we wanted to remind everybody to once again enter to win our Evil Dr. Pork Chop T-shirt contest, not Evil Dr. Pork.
Yeah, that's a mouthful.
Yeah,
it's hard to say.
Yeah, so we did get, and thank you to our podcast listeners. We did get a very good response for the podcast listeners that we revealed the contest early to, and it was kind of neat. We felt like it was a fun little thing to do to sneak that into the podcast listeners first.
Quite a few people did it. Good job, you guys.
Yeah.
We have the best listeners.
Yep. All right, well, that wraps it up for the episode 5 of the Pixar Post Podcast. Be sure to tune in to us all week at pixarpost.com. Signing off, I'm TJ.
And I'm Julie. And we'll talk to you next week.